He's going nowhere. I got news for everybody. Daniel Jones is the week 1 starter for the Giants, and he should be.
No, he should not be. It's over. Finally, Rich Eisen giving us some news that I've been wanting to hear. I was disappointed in Joe Shane a week ago, BT, when he came out and said, I believe in Daniel Jones. Now, he could say certain things and maybe lie about certain things, but I believed him because of the way he said it. He sounded like he had conviction and that Daniel Jones could still be a starting quarterback. It was making me nervous about the Giants' future. And then Rich Eisen, I guess, on his show or podcast or whatever the hell it is, said at the Combine he was hearing rumors, and the word is that the Giants are absolutely done with Daniel Jones, buyer's remorse, as they should be. They made a mistake. They overvalued him off of 1 year. Instead of franchise tagging him, they gave him a ridiculous contract. He's not worth that. The New York Giants need to move on. Clean, clear cut from Daniel Jones. I know the finances make that difficult. I don't care. Put him on the bench, draft a quarterback, and have the young quarterback start week 1. It should be the end of Daniel Jones with the Giants.
You know what's funny, too? Both people that we just referenced, Joe Shane and Rich Eisen, right? I think Joe's come across so far during his small samples, smallish tenure as the GM for the Giants, as a pretty stand-up guy. And listen, when you get in those situations, whether it's Joe Douglas, whomever, even Cashman, there's only so much that you're going to say, especially when you're the one who signed Daniel Jones to the extension coming off the playoff win. So I do think that Joe Shane is about as forthright as he could be without giving away state secrets. So I kind of believe him to an extent. I really believe Rich Eisen because Rich has no skin in the game.
He's not going to be making that up.
No, I absolutely. And I think that Rich is good. And I think that Rich is the reason why I like Rich. Rich is not one of these sensationalists where he takes something, he stretches it, and he's out there for clicks. Rich Eisen's been around the game a long time. So
yeah, I think he thinks he's funnier than he is. But other than that,
I hear you. I got you. But I actually think he's funnier than most, actually. And I think he's certainly much more.
He thinks he's Larry David because he's friends with Larry David.
Does he think he's Larry? Where are you getting this from? You think he's Larry David?
He's always rubbed me like Rich Eisen. Not that this is about Rich Eisen. He's always made me.
Gotcha.
I mean, I could do 20 minutes on him if you like. He's always right. I liked him when he was at Sports Center, when he was an anchor. I used to love him. Now I think he thinks he's, just stick to what you do best. You're not a comedian. You're a sports guy, but he's very good at that, and I do believe his info is legit.
I do too. But I say this because the Shane Eisen dynamic of the two, I believe Rich more than Joe, just given the circumstances and, what Shane's got to conceal. And, it's not Rich's or anybody's job if you're in the media to conceal anything. It is your job to tell people what you know, tell people what you think. So this thought, right? Daniel, let me get this straight. So if you cut Daniel Jones, you absolutely destroy the cat. It's ridiculous. So
you can't do that. You can't tie him to the bench.
So,
by the way, you might not have to. He's going to be hurt anyway.
Well, that's different. But do we at least agree so we can move forward on the understanding that Daniel Jones will absolutely be on the Giants roster next year? We understand this, right?
Yeah, but it also goes back to the point where they screwed up big time last year.
But that's a different conversation. I'm just kind of pushing this thing forward.
Because they screwed up big time last year.
He's
didn't
back.
Franchise tag him. They really don't have any choice this year.
They have no choice. I mean, now, after this year, they've got a choice where it's a relatively low, it's certainly a manageable $22 million hit after this season. So for 2024, Daniel Jones is back. Let's understand that. So if you tell me that Daniel Jones shouldn't play week 1, won't play week 1, could not, maybe possibly play week 1, I want to know what the options are. All right, so you want to tell me, and I'll beat you to it a little bit, Sal. Mm-hmm. So you draft somebody. Well, right now, the Giants have the 6th overall pick. The best 3 quarterbacks are going 1, 2, and 3. I saw the report, even though I was off for 2 days, that the Giants might be motivated strongly to move inside the top 3. Okay. The Giants, I don't think, under any circumstance, are trotting out a rookie in week 1. Tyrod Taylor's going to be gone. Tommy DeVito, the story is expired. It's Daniel Jones' job, and Giant fans have to accept it.
Yeah, why
He's
not?
the guy.
Why not try out a rookie? I'm done with Daniel Jones. There's nothing about Daniel Jones that would tell me, okay, you know what? He's going to be a good mentor to the rookie quarterback. Now, they're screwed because of the mistake they made last year as far as they can't just cut him and have a clean cut move on. You can put him on the bench, though. And if I'm a Giant fan and I'm going to be rooting for the Giants just like everybody else around here, I want to see them do well, I want to see the rookie quarterback under center from day one. I mean, this setup is not the ideal setup the way, the Kansas City model with Alex Smith and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes letting him sit for a while. Yeah, that could work. It also could work if you throw a rookie quarterback out there and see what he could do right away in a year where there aren't going to be many expectations for the Giants because there's no way they could build a legitimate Super Bowl contending team this offseason, have the rookie quarterback start. Number one thing for me is get the quarterback. And it's not about Russell Wilson or Justin Fields or any of these other options that are out there. It's about getting the quarterback that they want, Joe Schoen and Brian Dable, in the draft. I don't care how they got to do it, whether it's at number 6, whether it's trading up. Get the guy you want and let him start. I'm done. I've been done with Daniel Jones. I don't want to see Daniel Jones anymore, period. End of story. All due respect, it's over. It's been over. It should have been over 3 years ago, let alone, then they give him an opportunity with Dable. He goes to the playoffs, which led them into a big mistake. I can't do it again with Daniel Jones.
My partner's going to be grumpy in the fall because Jones going to start. 877-3, at least 2 start. 877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. We're inside of our Town Fair Tire Studios. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Let me give you another reason why Daniel Jones will start week 1 for the New York Giants, and Giant fans need to accept this for now. Think about self-preservation and how it's so strong. When you're in a position of authority, the motivation to make yourself look smart is there. And I think maybe even more specifically, more motivation is to not look foolish. Think about this, right? So if the Giants, and this won't happen, but if the Giants, assuming he's healthy, bench Daniel Jones in week 1, the duo of Schoen and Dable, but really Schoen because he's the one with the contracts, is the GM, Dable's the coach, they are basically saying, we messed up. We overreacted to a playoff win against a team whose defense was terrible. We gave them 4 years, 160, and we gave the bag to the wrong guy. So that's an acknowledgement publicly that they messed up if they bench Daniel Jones, right? That's number one. If they play the rookie, all right, who they probably will draft. I do agree conceptually they're going to draft the quarterback. Now, do they move up to 3? We'll see. Do they stay at 6? We'll see. They're taking a quarterback in round 1. In round 1, I firmly believe that. But if they start the rookie, Sal, and he plays poorly, which outside of C.J. Stroud, most rookies kind of do, and the Giants are, who until further notice, still not very talented, are 2-7, 3-8. Now, think about how this regime is perceived. So, Jones, you foolishly gave him money. You benched him. You drafted a kid. He's getting his head handed to him. Whereas you can take this route, which is much, much safer from Shane's perspective. Play Daniel Jones. Probably be an average team to slightly below. When the fans get restless after, 7-8 weeks, boom, here comes the kid that you drafted. What's the better situation for the general manager to put his hands up and say, I didn't really mess up that much.
Let's play a high. Well, which may be one of the reasons why Joe Schoen has come out and said, I believe in Daniel Jones, because if he comes out and says anything other than that, he acknowledges a colossal mistake. We knew or felt that they made a mistake at the time, the way that it was with the $40 million per year. But then we're thinking, it's only a couple years. I shouldn't say nobody, but it fell off last year. Like the wheels fell off the wagon last year to an extent where you need to move on now. Everybody thought at least, okay, well, you know what? You see what he could do the next 2 years, and then that's it. Then you make a decision. It was just an extension, buying some time. Well, they have to make the decision. I believe the decision has been made after last year. Now, where they're drafting, it's more enticing or more likely they get a quarterback that they want. If they're picking 10th or 11th, going to be even more difficult to trade up. It might be hard enough to trade up as it is to a top 3. But that's what they need to do. Now, maybe a part of them is also couching it, saying, well, we can't get the guy that we want to trade up for number 3 or into the top 3, and we're not going to get the guy at number 6. So then we have no choice but to have Daniel Jones be our quarterback. Even in that scenario, I wouldn't want that, but I understand why they would maybe couch it a little bit there. Let me give you this hypothetical, though. Let's just say Daniel Jones somehow, and I know this is probably hard to believe, but let's say Daniel Jones gets hurt. Giants draft a quarterback that they love, or they trade up, or they get the guy that they want at number 6. Now, they name Daniel Jones a starter. The rookie's going to be on the bench to learn behind Jones.
Yep.
Jones gets hurt, just like Aaron Rodgers did week 1.
Yes.
Now what?
You have to have a backup.
So you're not throwing the rookie quarterback in there?
I'd have to see which of the 3 it is, how polished he is, and you'd have to trust the instincts of Dable and Shane at that point. It's a tough one to answer now.
And I get it.
But I can say this: if if you don't feel confident throwing him in there, if you have to, then you're probably drafting the wrong guy.
Well, or
you need a pile. You can't just get a project here.
Or you're why not? I mean, all these quarterbacks are projects.
You can't get a project at number 3, 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah, but they're all to a certain extent they all are. Trevor Lawrence. Oh my God, can't miss Trevor Lawrence. Better than Peyton Manning. Yeah, he's still a project 3 years later. So I mean, I don't think there is any guarantee. I guess my point is, what are they trying to accomplish this year? If I'm the New York Giants, the number one thing I am trying to accomplish this year is drafting and developing a quarterback. I don't care how they do it. That's the number one thing. Not getting to the postseason, not halfwaying it. Obviously, those things are great. The most important thing for this Giants franchise right now is to draft and develop a quarterback. And you can do that and throw him to the wolves as long as you surround him. You know, there's not Zach Wilson with Robert Saleh and no offensive coordinator. They got Brian Dable there. I trust Dable with a rookie quarterback. Let him learn on the fly much more than I'd rather see Daniel Jones again go out there under center.
877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the Fan. Brandon Tierney, Sal Licata. You might not want to see it. He's starting week 1. Scotty's in East Hanover. Scott, BT and Sal, what's cooking?
Good morning, young men.
Hello, Scott.
Sal, Giants season ticket holder. I'm going to ask you, can you possibly be wrong? Is that the first question?
Of course.
Okay.
But about what?
Secondly,
I mean, wrong about what in this particular case?
It's a long list, Scotty. Let's narrow it down.
I can't be wrong about my opinion. My opinion is that I'm done with Daniel Jones. Now, are you saying I could be wrong about my evaluation of Daniel Jones? Anything's possible, absolutely.
Okay. So, listen, as a Giant fan, this hamster wheel that the Jets are on, keep changing, change. It's three words for the Giants. Fix the offensive line.
Oh, my God.
It's it.
Oh, my
Fix
God.
the offensive line. Daniel Jones
my
is
God. No,
our
I can't
guy.
do this all day. I can't do this all
He
day.
will be our guy. You're not going to
I am going to need a gummy. You guys are right. I can't do this all day.
We're going to need a gummy. We were talking about that before the show.
I'm stressed out. I can't deal with this.
Somebody get my man a gummy, please.
So
maybe a little 20.
I can't sit here, BT, all day and listen to the offensive line calls, and that's the reason that Daniel Jones hasn't made it. It's not. That's a different conversation. Obviously, you want to fix the offensive line.
Yeah. Now, to be clear, no, I'm not saying that you go get an offensive lineman because I still think that Daniel Jones could be salvaged. No. Daniel Jones is the starter this year based on the circumstances that the Giants foolishly put themselves in.
And for 1 year, you're okay with that? As him being the starter?
Yes, I am.
And
by the way, let me say this about Daniel Jones. He's limited, but unlike Russell Wilson, who was a detached prima donna, who was just cut, obviously, $85 million and multiple draft picks, colossal swing and miss by Denver. And Russell Wilson wasn't even liked by his teammates. At least Daniel Jones is respected. Daniel Jones has a little equity with the Giant fan. He won a road playoff game, and he's a good guy. And I do believe that locker room, when he trots out week 1, nobody's sitting there saying, geez, this guy again? Now, it's not the long-term move that propels the Giants to where the Giant fan eventually wants to get back to. But he's going to play week 1. He's going to.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I just want to cut ties and be done with it.
But how do you do that now?
At the very least, bench him. Draft a quarterback. It's not about Daniel Jones. Right now, it's about Daniel Jones because of his contract, because he's the guy that's here. Once they draft a quarterback, it is now about that quarterback. Daniel Jones is irrelevant. We all know the situation with the contract. After this year, they will be able to get out from under that. There's no way they can move on from it. Nobody's going to take him on in the trade, and they can't obviously cut him because of the salary cap. So you deal with him as the backup for 1 year, and you go with the rookie, and you just know that the rookie is going to be your guy moving forward. Jones, unfortunately for him, has to suck it up. And to answer the caller before, can I be wrong? Yes, you're absolutely right. I have been wrong. About Daniel Jones, I thought he was going to be a good quarterback. After winning a road playoff game, you know what? I started to believe in him. For years, I said, nah, he ain't it. He wins a road playoff game. I said, you know what? I'm wrong. I admit I'm wrong about Daniel Jones. He's going to take that next step with the new weapons, throw the football. He can't do it. So 2 things as a quarterback he can't do. 1, stay healthy. 2, throw the football effectively, consistently enough to win games. That's a big problem.
Isn't it frustrating when you're wrong, but we're initially right?
That's why I'm not doing it anymore.
Initially right?
You stick with your gut.
Yeah,
right or
most
wrong
times
is right.
it serves you well.
I mean, I had no choice, BT.
Yeah, you had to show respect. And I even came around on Jones. I was never as down on Daniel Jones. I remember doing this for years with Tiki from the time that he was drafted. And Daniel Jones was a hard guy to read. He was. because you see,
Size.
the size, the speed, even the way he burst on the scene that first game against Tampa, a couple of games in his rookie year, he ran one in. He was
throwing the football his rookie year.
Yeah, he was.
Fumbling it at a ridiculous rate, but he was throwing the football.
Yep, and there were also, with Jones, enough built-in excuses. Remember Ingram dropped that first down against the Eagles where they would have sealed the deal. I think it was a Monday or a Sunday night game. The offensive line, always in tatters. So there was enough things where you could say, man, if you could get Jones this, if you could do that, if this happens, if that occurs. But we're at the point now, that's it. He's not worth $40-something million, but the Giants, based on their mistake or their misread or their overreaction to the Vikings win, is where we're at. Chris is in Tinton Falls, and he will be the starter week 1. Chris, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, fellas?
Chris.
Long time no speak.
What's up,
Doing
Chris?
a good job, guys. So,
Thank you.
dudes, I got to admit, I disagree. I don't want them to draft a quarterback. And big reason, allow me to finish. I think it's going to cost way too much. Jaden Daniels looks like a nice player. He looks like a rail. I worry about him. You know what? So I don't want to get in that. They have so much they have to invest, right? Now, Jones, I will say this. I didn't want him drafted. He's actually shown me enough that I say he's got potential. Whether it's here, I don't know. But they need so much. They can get a top-flight wideout. They've needed that. They can get that. They can get They can get an alt from Notre Dame. They need that. And here's the other thing, guys. Despite Jones not playing well, he had one great game last year, right? What was the big factor? Saquon was there. The line was a little more intact. When we all got excited about Tommy Cutlets, why? Saquon was back. There's a correlation there, right? That's one reason I
Saquon
hope
might
they
not be
find a
back
way to
anyway,
keep
and we'll get to
boys.
that. And by the way, Daniel Jones was the third worst quarterback on the Giants last year. So you could sit there and say, Daniel Jones played great. He got hurt or he played better with Barkley back. If you look at the same situation for all three quarterbacks, or at least very similar situations as far as who's there, who's not there, Tommy DeVito, Tyrod Taylor were both better than Daniel Jones was a year ago.
I don't dispute that. The numbers back that up. I mean, Taylor had some rapport with some of the younger receivers. Obviously, DeVito showed some spunk and won some games. I get that. But what's the bigger sample? That last year or the year before, where Daniel Jones was, at least in your eyes, good enough to have you radically flip your opinion on the guy.
But even then, he did it with running the football,
Yeah,
which is not something that's sustainable, I believe, for anybody at the quarterback position, especially Daniel Jones, who's always getting hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, he played 6 games last year.
I got something that's going to sound very callous, but the NFL is callous, and I don't mean it to seem so harsh, but it's going to, and it is what it is. If I'm the Giants, what I do next year is, provided Jones is ready to go, physically healthy week 1, I start him and I run him into the ground. And that's it.
It does sound callous.
It is. I mean, we're going to run him 9-10 times, whether Saquon's back, and we'll get to that a little later.
You paid him $40 million. You got nothing out of him last year.
I mean, Daniel Jones not going to be here 3, 4, 5 years, so try to squeeze out a couple of dubs, draft the quarterback in round 1, which they will. And then, and this is the callous part of the statement, then you just move on from Jones' dispatch of him, and, you keep it moving. But that's life in the NFL, and Jones is going to get dented, and the Giants will run him into the ground to try to win a couple games, and that's just the nature of the beast. But he's going to start. He's going to come here. He's going to start, and we'll see what they do with the 6th pick, if it becomes the 3rd, whatever. To me, Jones is still the starter.